Say now, if you're going to be starting Sunday in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, man. I'm gonna be out there.
You get a full weekend of practice.
Feel great. Feel great to be out there with my guys as always. Feel great.
Simple as that. Lamar Jackson will play.
I guess he's playing.
Like his honesty. Before we get into the actual Lamar Week 18 combo here, Lamar Jackson managers, you guys drink for free today because you didn't have him when you needed him. He's back for Week 18. It's unlikely you're playing your championship in Week 18. But for the Ravens, Jay, this is the best case scenario for them. And this line opened at 3.5, so it felt like it was always kind of leaning this way. But good to hear it from the man himself.
Yeah, and also, as we got at the end of that clip, the fact that he's gotten a full week of practice in, like full practice on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
He wasn't even doing that when he was allegedly healthier, a few weeks ago. So that bodes very well. Unfortunately, I've had a bet on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl, 25-1, which would be absolutely hilarious if this is the year that Lamar Jackson wins the Super Bowl when he's had the worst year of his career, basically. The team has not been particularly good to this point, but just with the way that it is shaken out, 3.5-point favorites in Pittsburgh, likely play the Texans in Baltimore if they win that game in Wild Card weekend. Lamar has had great success against the Texans. The Ravens will be favored in that game, and the AFC is just wide open. None of these teams are scary. If they do have to play the Bills, who I think are the best team in the AFC, that game would be in Baltimore. So, yeah, I think that it just kind of speaks to the wide openness of the AFC.
So 2 questions. Number one is, Jay, do you actually have a bet this year on the Ravens Super Bowl? Or is it just many years you have previously and they've never come through?
No, I tend to be on the Ravens, but this year I am on them. I placed the wager on them at 25-1 to win the Super Bowl. Not to make the Super Bowl, to win the championship, which would be quite bizarre, but I think the path is there. Yeah,
the other thing that's hilarious about all of this, Jay, is that answer from Lamar. I don't know if you were listening to that where, they're talking about, hey, are you going to play this week? Or anything like that. And Lamar's like, well, yeah, of course. As if there was, no question. The reporter was silly for asking whether or not he was going to play in Week 18. He was like, oh, yeah, my guys, of course, I'm going to be out there. And it's just like, of course there's a question you're going to play. You never play. I feel like there are more big games that Lamar misses than he shows up in. I'm saying health-wise. Forget performance on the field. I feel like he's the most, I don't want to say most injured quarterback, but I feel like the guy that misses the most, this is not the way to phrase it, but the most insignificant time, if that makes any sense. We've seen guys whether Joe Burrow or whatever, have significant injuries where they're out for the next 8 weeks. But Lamar, it feels like always it's 3 games here, 2 games there, a game here where you really need him. I just feels like he's always sick. You know what I mean? I don't know. And so, the fact that he's surprised that people are asking, are you going to play in Week 18 is semi-hilarious to me.
He does get sick a lot. The reason why I've bet on the Ravens, though, Connor, and it kind of ties into this with Lamar, is that I think that the Ravens, strangely, are the highest variance team in the playoffs because Lamar Jackson, who quietly, the 2 weeks leading into the Pats game and then the start of the Pats game, that was the best that he had looked athletically in a long time. And there is just the chance that MVP Lamar may walk through that door as he's had all this time off again. And I think that Baltimore's team rating in the market has the one that has the most scope to accelerate throughout the playoffs.
I think that's the right approach because the way you're looking at it is on any given Sunday, he can be the best player on the field. And this is a weird playoff pool that doesn't have Patrick Mahomes. It doesn't have Joe Burrow. It's missing a lot of those guys where you go, it's a unique year where he could. Now, he hasn't done that in the playoffs enough. That's always been the criticism of Lamar Jackson, which is why it's, like you said, it would be ironic if this was the year. But you look at the schedule he could potentially play if they get in. Yes, there's a world where every single playoff game you could make the argument Lamar's the best player out there.
Yeah, and in the AFC, there's only 3 teams that he can go on the road against. Denver, New England, and probably Jacksonville, assuming they win the AFC South. I don't think that he's going to be scared of any of those matchups.
Jonathan Medici said, I had Lamar in all my leagues, so if I'm drinking free, I'm getting trashed. Just wake me up on Monday. Medici, we need you here. What do you got to that, Matthew?
Yeah, no, completely agree there. I mean, it is fascinating because what did the Ravens start? They started 1-6, something like that?
Yeah,
1-5?
Yeah.
So the Ravens are on the verge of completing what many are calling a Barry-like rise from the ashes. It was following my playbook. I have led the way, showed them how to do it. I started 0-7, of course, then ultimately defeating Connor in the 7th place game to cap my triumphant victory.
Time's the
beautiful
charm.
Season. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it would just be one of those things that's like every single year, they do hey, if you start 2-4, if you start 2-5, your chances, it would just blow all those models out of the water if the Ravens do in fact make the Super Bowl this year. As you see their schedule right there on your screen, they won the Browns game in week 2, but other than that, they did not get a win until week 8. Obviously, there was the bye in week 7, but started 1-5. They were 1-5 before they got their second win in week number 8 against the Bears, interestingly enough.
What's funny is, Jay, when they got to that bye at 1-5, I believe they were still the obvious favorite to win the division by all the books.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is,
Long road to get here, though.
They had this horrific 1-5 start. It's not like they've won 10 straight or anything. They've gone 7-3, which is solid, but they haven't really blown the doors off the league in that time or anything. But I remember thinking back to week 1, halfway through the 3rd quarter against the Bills on Sunday Night Football, being like, all right, well, season's over. Ravens just going to win the Super Bowl. This team looks like the greatest offense of all time, just picked up right where they left off. And then they blow that game, and then they go on a losing streak. But I think ultimately this team still has a ton of upside, and it's just because Lamar Jackson, I don't think it would really shock anyone if Lamar Jackson was just the best player in the playoffs, like if he found that level again. So that's what I'm betting on.
All right, let's get into
last thing
love-hate.
to put a bow on this entire conversation, then we can get to love-hate, Connor, is that for all this discussion, and I agree with everything we just said, watch the Steelers win on Sunday night. Yeah. That's what's going to happen, right? And then, we stuck to, Kenneth Gainwell, playoff hero.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.